Okay, so Nathan, can you tell me, just to start out, like what your childhood was like?
It was good. I'm grateful. I think I have two of the best parents that anybody could ask for, and they were really good to me. I have no complaints. They could do everything right, and we could still find a way to be yeah, I don't know, perceive things wrong. And but no, I'd say overall I had a really good, really good childhood.
How did you grow up? Did you grow up in Chicago or?
Yeah, I've been in the same house I'm in right now. It was good. I was homeschooled a lot of it, so that's where I get some of my
Okay.
quirks and stuff. But yeah, no, it was good. I have three brothers, and they're probably the most special people in the world to me, still to this day. So yeah,
Are you the
yeah,
youngest?
I'm the third born, so I have two older brothers and then one younger brother, and that's
Okay.
how we. My mom homeschooled all of us. She's a superhuman.
What's something you admire about both of them?
The my parents.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom, she's like has four children, and she was working in radio before, but she wanted to
Oh.
kind of quit her career, and she was the main breadwinner in the family at the time. So she was like, okay, I want to raise my children. I want to spend more time with my children. So she quit her job where she was making really good money and took a leap
Wow.
of faith. My dad wasn't making like bad money, but I think it was probably about half what my mom was doing. And
Wow.
they had two incomes at that time. So she's like, I'm going to take a leap of faith and I'm going to homeschool my children so I could raise them up the way we wanted to or whatnot. So yeah, she came home, she homeschooled us, and then she's kind of an entrepreneurial sort of person. So she ended up making like a homeschool co-op where a bunch of kids could get together. And I think she grew it to like 120 children or something. And
Wow.
she's like that. She's like a superhuman. I wish I had like half her energy, and I'm 27. She's in her 50s, but yeah, she's amazing. And my dad, he's just a good man of character. And the older I get, the more I kind of respect that, and the more I see that that's actually what heaven on earth is. It's not necessarily the superficial fancy cars and the
Mm.
all having all the money in the world. It's just being a good righteous man. Because what better way to, I don't know, leave this world than knowing you just no regrets. And yeah, so
And where did you get your inspiration for music? Do either of your parents are musical or?
no. um Yeah, it was, I don't know. It just kind of, I fell in love with it. I became obsessed. When I was 8, the girl my next door neighbor, I spent all of my time with her, and she just kind of passed away out of nowhere.
Oh,
So I think I kind of found music as like a refuge when I was growing up. And you don't realize it at the time because you're a kid and you don't know how to perceive things correctly or
yeah.
in a good manner. So for me, I just kind of drifted from, not that I drifted from people, I spent time with people, but I think I became more closed off and more internal. And for me, I remember in middle school, I was homeschooled, so I had all the time in the world to play my instruments. And my mom thought I was doing schoolwork, but I was just either playing my guitar or playing my keyboard and stuff. And yeah, I think it became a refuge. I didn't see it at the time, but now that I'm older, I think that was what it became.
And was she your best friend? Is that why it
Yeah,
was really okay?
we spent every day together. After school, yeah. And then her brother Anthony too. It's Brittany and Anthony. We'd spend all of our time together. So
Now, are
yeah.
you still friends with Anthony?
We've don't see each other as much as adults just because
Okay.
he moved off, and but I'd still have a ton of respect for him. And I'm sure if we saw each other, it'd be like, yo, it'd be good. So yeah.
What's your fondest memory as a kid?
Oh, I don't know. I need to think about these things more. Looking back, I think it's just doing everything with my brothers. And yeah, it's like everything to me. That's like all of my everything in my being. So yeah, I just loved my brothers, and I loved that I got to grow up with them. So
Did
it
you guys
was,
do tricks on anybody? Were you like naughty boys or?
I don't know what we were. I guess probably we'd try and at least I would try and get out of doing school as much as possible. And we'd play a lot of sports. We'd play like pickup football and pickup soccer and stuff. And they would play video games. I was always more interested in random creative sort of things. But yeah, I don't know if I have one specific memory, but just spending time with my brothers and growing up in that community was, I think, everything to me. And even now, as like an older person, that's like my, I don't know, the deepest part of me. It's just like yeah, my pack of wolves, or what do you want to call it? So
Is there a conversation you had with your parents that you remember? Something like advice they gave you or something that has carried down that you remember?
And my dad always told me to marry a woman of integrity and character, and that will be like the
Mm,
best sort of decision you could ever make in your life. And I didn't understand that as a young person, that the dream girl was the whatever superficial. But I feel like my wife is, I think I decided I wanted to marry her when I just saw her integrity and her character. And it's like nothing ages better than that. So I think that was one of the best advice my dad has given me. They also raised us in faith, in Christianity. And for me, that's like I think that's the best thing in my life without a doubt. And then just seeing myself grow up in the church, having older people pour into me. And
mm,
I was such an idiot, and I still am such an idiot. But growing up as a young idiot, they put up with me, and it's just amazing. It's such a. I had a yeah. I wasn't a perfect church experience. Obviously, people can hurt you, and I had a lot of trauma. Just that was my own fault by like having a sort of shame culture in my brain because I
mm,
misinterpreted different things that I was taught. But just having a community of people that raise you up and want the best for you is for me is I think that was a superpower, and I couldn't be more grateful for that.
mm. How long have you been married?
We got married last June 19th, so it's been
Oh wow, so it's a little over a
14
year.
months now. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's been great. I have no complaints. She might, but I'm a grateful.
What marriage advice would you give as a young couple?
Ooh, I guess negotiation's big, like not going into sort of things like somebody's gonna win. It's like, okay, this is what I want, this is what she wants, and we're gonna try and meet in the middle. That way we're both happy and there's no slave or martyr. And I feel like that was for me has been huge. And then I read a book called it was like on the dopamine equilibrium or something. I don't remember what it
Mm,
was, but I realized all of life felt dull. And then I got rid of my cell phone and a lot of the stimulations, and all of a sudden, because it's like the whole concept of like when you get high, all of a sudden your default feels like hell. But if you do difficult things like exercise or I don't know, cold showers are good
mm,
and long, anything like that, or do something difficult, all of a sudden your default feels like heaven. So I try
mm.
to just figure out how could I get away from I don't know the highs and try and go for the lows instead. So default feels better. And with for me in marriage, when I avoid a lot of the different things like I don't know gorging myself with food or something, I feel like discipline in marriage to me has set me free in a lot of ways, and it makes it easier for me to be a good tolerable human for my wife. And I think yeah, it's mostly up to my own decisions and my own discipline because I think yeah, that's it's up to me to keep marriage exciting and good and fun and all that stuff. So
Do
yeah.
you, what do you think you would title your life story if you wrote it? So if you wrote an
Oh.
autobiography, I know you've lived only 27, so it's not
I'm a young
like,
man.
but if you did write about it, what would you call it?
Oh, that's a good question. That's so hard. Um, yeah, sorry for the long pause.
No, 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 you can take long pauses. That's totally good.
I mean, I'd hope it would say grateful because I feel like gratitude is kind of the core of wisdom. Um, just it's hard to, yeah, the world ain't that bad with a grateful heart. Trying to just learn to be grateful. I mean, I don't think that would at all be the title, but that's what I'd want it to be. And just grateful for what I have and learning to, yeah, just learning to be grateful for what I've got because that's the answer. It's not more, it's not gaining the world. It's just, yeah, it's, I went to Africa for a month with my brother. And
Mm,
one of the people said the most mind blowing quote I've ever heard in my whole life. It's like prosperity is not how much you have, but how little you need to be content. And that for
wow.
me, like forever changed my. It's like I've been striving to be this rock star, striving to have this ginormous music, but that's not at all what it's about. It's just about, I don't know, finding that gratitude and being grateful for what I've got. And I can gain the whole world and still be miserable. So it's like maybe that's not the answer.
Did your, do you find it hard to be grateful?
It just depends. Like there's different factors that play a role. If I eat junk food and haven't worked out in like 5 months, which happens sometimes, it's a lot harder to find joy. And it's like I could practice gratitude or something, but I feel like garbage. So I feel like there's for me, there's like a discipline and I don't know, there's
Mm,
different things to make it easier. It's like if I'm making bad decision after bad decision and I'm causing toxic drama in different people's life, all of a sudden it's a lot more difficult because I've kind of made my bed in hell opposed to
Mm.
sowed good seeds. So I think there's things to make it easier, but yeah, I just trying to just yeah, be grateful. And I feel like that's the inoculation to a lot of, I guess Christians would call it sin and different things. Like it's hard to be grateful and to be prideful, and it's hard to be grateful for what you got and be envious, and it's hard to be just
Mm.
grateful and be angry, because it's like when you're grateful, nothing's missing. So learning to have that mindset. I've been trying to change my brain because I can be quite neurotic. So yeah,
What makes life beautiful to you? What do you really enjoy about living?
I guess just having like a good stasis, like feeling good, feeling healthy, and then being around people that I love. And I've never been super fun motivated, but
Okay.
I don't know. I like a
Meaning, what does that mean exactly? Like just you're not the next high isn't what makes it good. Is that what you're trying to say?
sorry, somebody knocked in. Hello? She's not. I think she's in your room. I'm sorry about that.
You're good.
My brother's in from California, so we've all just been hanging out and it's been good.
Oh,
But sorry, the question was
what
what
makes
does
life
fun motivate?
beautiful to you?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
the
and you
fun
said
motivate.
not the next high. So isn't is fun, yeah, being the next high or just like the next exciting thing?
Sounds good. I'm on a interview, so if sorry about that.
No, you're surrounded by people. I can see this makes you happy, so this makes sense. All these people are coming.
That's a blessing. I'm more introverted and I don't always like talking to people, but I think being around people is I like that. What makes life beautiful? I think relationships. I think that's the core of it all.
Mm,
Just love, I guess, as cliche as it is. And it's like, I don't know, people can say they love you, but I feel like taking time to be enjoyed and to enjoy other people, I think that's what makes you feel loved. It's like when
mm,
you genuinely enjoy others and they genuinely enjoy your company, and learning to have that sort of mindset and perspective. But I think, yeah, I think that's probably what it's like. I can work my soul away and I can build a whole lot of cool things and dope things. But I think it's the relationships that we die with regardless. So I'd say, yeah, relationships, and then trying to be a good characterful person who's worthy of having those relationships. So you're not,
mm.
I don't know, being toxic or causing stupid drama over stupid things or being a gossip and disrespectful. And so, yeah, I think it's being a righteous man worthy of having relationships, I think is my goal. So,
What do you think makes it hard to be alive? What's the hard thing about it? Because I notice even with your music, there's an emphasis on a lot of the hard things that people
yeah,
go through.
I had depression for a long time. And I don't honestly, oh, here comes. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
Bye, Tiffy. Yeah, I don't know. As far as pain goes, I've always felt things very deeply.
Mm,
Um, and for a long time, I didn't feel happy. Like I think it was a good 7, 8 years where I just didn't feel happy, and I didn't even know I was depressed because I felt nothing in a way.
yeah.
And I think a lot of it, like I don't have a imbalance or anything. A lot of it was my own doing. It was my own lack of just, and it wasn't necessarily my fault because I didn't have the wisdom as to how to get out of it or different things. But I remember I was like 5 years ago, I was trying every diet. I ate vegan, I ate carnivore, I ate paleo.
Oh, wow.
And I realized just eating no processed food or as minimal processed food as possible and cutting all grains out of my life, I felt like 30%, 35% better.
Wow.
And that was a big thing. And then I found when I exercise, it's like, oh, it's kind of hard to be upset when I'm exercising and I'm feeling good and that sort of a thing. I'm trying to think of all the different things I did. I did therapy and I learned a lot about this whole psychological state. I found I grew up kind of, I don't, a shame culture in my brain. The
Okay.
church I came up in, there is some legalism. I don't think it was anybody's fault. It could have just been the way I perceived it. But to me, it was like you couldn't really boast for yourself. I think I boasted one time about something I did, and they're like, you can't do that, that's
Mm.
wrong. And for
Oh,
me, in my brain, it's like I can, as a young person, it's like I can't say anything positive about myself, or that's a sin, and I don't want
mm.
to make God upset, so I'm just gonna not do that in my brain out loud, anything. And then I wake up 20 years later, and it's like, oh shoot, I haven't had a positive thought about myself in my life. That's just kind of like I'm losing by
Oh,
default.
wow. Yeah.
So I remember for probably like months, I got my own little sauna, and I'd sit in there for half an hour a day, and then I just say, I am worthy of love, I am worthy of love, I am worthy, literally over and over. I probably sounded like a crazy person,
Oh,
but
wow.
that changed a lot, because my brain went from constant like I'm worthless, I'm whatever, to having, not like, I don't think, I'm sure I can be prideful or egotistical at times, but it wasn't, it was more just like the ability to think something positive about myself made a big difference.
Yeah.
And I spending more time with people. I would work for hours and hours a day. I think I spent like 3 years without seeing anybody, because I wanted to make this
Oh,
music thing
wow.
work. And that was probably the core of my kind of depression, because like we're not meant to do this alone. And grateful I did, in a way, because it gave me an opportunity to make a living on music. But also, it's like isolation is just not a good
No.
life
Yeah.
strategy one bit. And yeah, so it's just like there's the whole death of a thousand paper cuts. For me, it was kind of like the opposite. I'm a bunch of different little things that made a difference. So then I got married, and I think like my mother-in-law is, she like got a degree in psychology or whatnot. She says there's a lot of
Oh,
healing that takes
wow.
place when there's like eye contact, or like some form of physical touch and different things. So I'm sure there's some psychological healing that came with Tiffany, and getting to know her. And yeah, just spending, but I think the core thing was probably just the diet made a huge difference.
Wow.
Spending time with people, and then yeah, I have a good community of guys, and we hold each other accountable, trying to pursue righteousness and get like things out of my life that were toxic. So
Right.
yeah.
Then, so I know you've been mentioning a lot about pursuing righteousness. Is the meaning of life to you? Is that how you would summarize it? Or what does it mean for you? Like, why are you alive? Like, what is the meaning of life to you?
uh Sorry for the silence.
No, 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 you're good. I've had so many of these interviews. It's people take their time. That's a good thing.
You do a great job. We need good journalists, that's good. um
Thank you.
the meaning of life to me, I think righteousness, I think like love and relationships with God, and then relationships with others, that's probably the
Mm,
chord. It's like to love and be loved. But I think righteousness is the thing that makes that kind of possible, in a way. And not that you don't have to be, not that you have to be perfect, but for me, it's like I feel like the best life I could live is a righteous one. um because I feel like, I don't know, heaven and earth is righteousness, and then hell and earth is life full of sin, and sin to the fullest. So I feel like they're kind of opposite or
hmm.
whatnot. And I'm sure I could be wrong. I'm sure my mind will change. But yeah, I think relationships are the core of everything. And I think we love because he first loved us. So letting it stem and fuel from that place. But yeah.
So would you say that, like, do you think when you say righteousness, does that mean that people can be righteous, or like by the decisions they make? Or do you think I know you mentioned God as well. Do you believe God plays a role in that? Or how does righteousness work if you're trying to pursue it here?
Sorry.
No, no, you're good.
I think the core of it is love. And I know for me, I've experienced what Christians call the love of God, and it changed everything for me.
Mm,
It's like I was 14, and it's things make sense until they don't. And it's like logic works until you can't define something with logic. It's like somebody tells you a spaghetti monster is God, and it sounds crazy. And then that spaghetti monster shows up in your room, and it's like all of this sudden, oh man, I don't know what's real anymore. And that was kind of my experience with Christianity, in Jesus and the Holy Spirit. And yeah, for like, it's like I needed the whole grace message and the identity thing. Like, it's okay to be, yeah, I needed that whole to be kind of be my floor and to enable me to pursue, I don't know, what is it called, refinement, or to like try and better myself and become get the sin out of my life. It was like I needed the identity first to be like, okay, I'm forgiven, I'm loved as I am. It's like there's nothing I can do to change his mind,
Mm.
which is, yeah, really crazy when you think about it. But it's like after that, it's like, but look at, it's like think of what I life could be if I get these things out. Because I found a lot of my depression, it was like pornography for me is it's a huge just, and it's something I'm not free with quite yet, and I want to be. I had 6 months
Yeah.
without it, but that was one of the biggest sucks. And it's like just yeah, it would just mess with my mind so much, and different things, and then like not being
Yeah.
someone worthy of trust, like that's gonna push everybody away, and that's gonna make the relationships in my life, like if I'm lying or if I'm gossiping or if I'm,
Yeah.
then I find if I'm not disciplined in certain ways, or if I'm like egotistical, prideful, any of those things, it's all destruction. Lust will
Oh
ruin
yeah.
my brain, and yeah, so it's like trying to get, it's like I was enabled through grace and through forgiveness, but it's like now I want to get all of these things that are poisoning me
Mm.
slowly out of my life, and like all of the things that are just making my life worse, that there's like no
Yeah.
reason to. Yeah, so I hope that makes sense.
No, no, yeah,
But
it does. Um, is there something you haven't done yet that you still want to do? I know you're pursuing your music. Is there something, or is like there a goal with your music you're trying to reach, or something you still want to do you haven't done?
I'd love to use the money from the music to buy a house. I guess that's the
Yeah.
goal. We're thinking, because we moved back with the parents, because my rent went in like 1 year went from 1350 to like 2200 or something for an apartment that wasn't
Wow.
that great. And it went down again, so we obviously could have moved out or whatnot if we wanted to, but we just feel it's best to save money until interest rates go down, and that
Yeah.
seems like a better time to buy in the market. And also my family plans on moving to Tennessee, Georgia areas, so we kind of want to go with we're going to see where everybody ends up to try and find a permanent place to live. But yeah, I think if I could buy my wife a house in her dream house, that would make me really happy. That would
What
make
kind
the
of house
music.
does she want?
Oh, she's bougie, dude. So I got
Oh,
I got my work cut out for me. We both like mountains, and we both like kind of like a modern log cabin look. So
yeah.
I think what we'll end up doing is buy like a plot of land and just build slowly. So it's
Oh
like the
wow,
house will
okay.
never necessarily be done, but it's like we can buy a cheaper house at first and then build on that and then build on that and then build on that. So hopefully we can have a dream house one day, but we'll see how it goes. It's all a dream. So
It's a good goal. Um, is there something you want to see changed about the world?
I mean, I'd love to see like a culture rooted in love, and I think entertainment is really, really, really powerful, and like
Yeah.
influence is really, really powerful. So I'd love to be a person who's like worthy of having a platform. I don't know, because I feel like you can preach a certain thing, but it's like who you are is what comes through. So I'd hope to be a person, yeah, who's actually a net positive in the world. And I'd love to see, I don't know, just like more people who are influential kind of on that trajectory. And because yeah, there's a lot of, it seems like nihilism is kind of the default in the culture
Yeah.
around us, and I feel like the world would be better if they kind of, if the default was more of a like discipline, righteousness sort of feel, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah,
Is there someone who's living now that you look up to? So it could be like a person who's famous or maybe a friend or family member. Who do you think you look up to the most? You want to be like?
there's a lot of different thinkers who I have a lot of, like I've been going through the work of Jung, and it's just mind blowing to read
Mm.
his thoughts. And but I think overall probably my dad. I have a ton of respect for my father. My old pastor from my vineyard church, Pastor Dave Fredericks, I have a ton of respect for him. He's just a good man. And
Mm.
yeah, just anybody who's like, yeah, I don't know, as far as, because there's things about certain people that I look up to, and there's other things that I just kind of ignore.
Yeah.
And in the Christian world, there's a lot of people I looked up to that kind of seem to have different failures, which just makes me sad.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true. Yeah.
but I don't, yeah, it's like power is no good for nobody. So I don't even blame him, because I'm in that predicament. I'm thankful that I'm not like a world famous Justin Bieber or whatnot, because it's like one moment of weakness and the wake of my influence, it's much larger than it would be now. So I get to hopefully make myself better. And if it comes, I'll hopefully be able to sustain it. But yeah, I'd say probably my father, and then my pastor Dave
Mm.
from Vineyard of DuPage. He's an amazing, amazing person. I'd be happy to be a man like him.
Is there an element of nature that you really love? And do you
I
know
love
why?
mountains. I don't
Yeah,
know
why
why.
do you like why do you
They're
like
just
them?
they're beautiful. And yeah, they're just inspiring. They're so yeah, I've never thought about why I like them. I guess the sensor in me likes them, just the visuals and the
Yeah, they're
I
big.
don't I don't I don't know if it's intellectual or whatnot. I love animals. Like capybaras are super cute. Bears are super cute, but I would never want to be anywhere near one because they're terrifying. Dogs, of course, are just like the whole protagonist of the world. They
Yeah.
they're too good. We don't deserve them, but I'm grateful. I'm a
Do
little bit
you,
of
is there a dog, well, maybe a dog, but is there an animal that you think your personality relates to?
oh, I've never thought about that before. I don't I mean I like orangutans, they're cool. I don't know if I'd relate to necessarily. I'd want to be a capybara. That's what I would choose. I probably don't relate to them, but they're cool.
I
So
love those.
aren't they
Yeah.
so cute?
Yeah. Yep. Most people I tell, they don't know what it is,
Seriously?
actually. Yeah.
They should have more clout, dude. They deserve it.
Well, I don't know. I guess I always found them at the zoo. So
Yeah.
maybe people aren't visiting the zoo enough these days. I don't know.
I just went to Brookfield in Chicago or wherever it is, and they had a capybara, and I was like, my life is made. I was starstruck, and it was just
They are
chilling.
really great.
My
Um, do you have a favorite book?
favorite book, I guess the Bible would be my number one, but that's kind of a cop out.
Well, actually,
Um,
that's a good. What's your favorite book of the Bible?
Probably, I mean, Proverbs is so practical, and it's
Yeah.
just kind of like you can kind of go into those forever. I like the letters from Paul. Sometimes they're just kind of painful, but like Romans 8 is one of the most encouraging passages of all time. I
Mm.
like the Gospels, just watching Jesus do his work. I know Ecclesiastes for me when I was in middle school was really big because it's just kind of like the
Yeah.
wisest, smartest, richest person who has everything being like life is meaningless.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe there's something more that we need to strive for. And yeah, but I always said Ecclesiastes when I was young. I don't know what I would say today. It's different. Like I was just going through the book of Daniel with my father and my accountability group, and that was to read like some of the predictions and prophecies that were in Daniel at the end of it would just see them parallel with history is just kind of it's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's hard to deny unless it was written later, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, so then I have just two more questions.
sounds
So,
good.
one, do you have a favorite time period of history that you'd live in besides now? Maybe you don't like now at all, but besides now, is there a period of history you'd like to live in?
I don't know. I don't think so. I like now. Life is quite convenient and the world is a little crazy, but if I turn off the news, it feels a lot better. And I'm sure.
Yeah. And
So
then last question is what piece of music, it can be yours if you want to, you think describes who you are? Like it can be the lyrics or the sound of it. Um, what do you think really describes your personality?
I don't know. Most of my personality is kind of like in my brain. I'm kind of internal for the most part. I'm not very verbal, so I hope I'm doing a sufficient job.
Oh no,
But
you're good.
I'm gonna hopefully put an album called Introspection out in
Okay.
November, and that probably would describe me very well because I'm very much I don't know. I don't know if I'm a good thinker, but that's kind of what I do. It's like the way I'm wired to just explore ideas and get
Yeah.
lost in weird things. So hopefully that
Now
album
will
can
that
describe me.
be, how will people find that? Will it just be on Spotify or?
Yeah, I'll put it on YouTube, Spotify, and all the places. But yeah, but that probably I'd say probably that one because it's just kind of shows my mental kind of where my brain goes, which is probably not it's strange, but yeah,
Is it instrumental or is it going to be lyrics too?
it'll be lyrics. So
Okay.
yeah, Yeah,
That's
it'll be fun.
I'm looking forward to that, to listen to it.
I hope you like it.
Is the theme of it, when you say introspective, is the theme of it like your thoughts, your internal dialogue, or is that like the theme of the music or
In a way, it's like kind of because my brain's just weird. I just kind of go off on rabbit trails, and I think the whole theme of the album will be introspection, liberates, and frees the mind.
hmm.
So it's just like my brain kind of doing what it does, going all over the place and allowing myself to feel certain things just out of curiosity and think certain things out of curiosity. And then it's like the last song was When Men Meets God. And that'll just
Oh
kind of be the
wow.
whole encapsulation. And I hope it's good. I've been working all year redoing some of my older stuff and trying to get something ready that I'm proud of, because I don't think I've ever put out an album. Not that I'm not proud of them, but it's like there's a lot of elements when it comes to it. There's like the production and the mixing and different things, and I've
Yeah.
gotten better over the years. So I'm hoping it's good, but we'll see.